Pakistan's economic situation is highly correlated with its political stability. And whenever we have political stability, then economic growth takes over all other challenges and creates positive impulses throughout the economy in form of poverty reduction, in form of better living standards, unemployment goes down. So when the investors and the businesses are not sure about the continuity and the consistency of economic policies, then they don't take action and they do not plunge into investment. And unless investment takes place, economic growth doesn't take place. So political uncertainty, hesitation on the part of investors, and therefore you do not have high growth rates and you have subdued growth rates. And because the population growth is about 2 to 2.4%, your per capita incomes are stagnating. So this is the crux of the problem. So we have to provide some kind of certainty that for the next 5 years, this government should announce what its economic policies are going to be, what the phasing and the sequencing and timing of those interventions are going to be, so people can map out their own responses in order to move the economy forward. Because it's a private sector. It is the farmers, it is the firms, it is the retailers, the businesses who actually drive the whole process. The government provides the ecosystem as well as the regulatory framework and provides the policies. So the government has to do that and give a roadmap as to which direction Pakistan is going. The reforms are quite well known. There is so much written on the reforms, and what I did in one of my recent books called Pakistan Economic Challenges and Solutions, I have laid down in detail as to what the reforms are, what I call as the priority reforms, and they should be undertaken immediately in order to set the right direction. And to recapitulate on a bullet points, first is the fiscal consolidation, because our deficits are just going through the roof. And now we have to borrow in order to run the consumption expenditure of the government. Nowhere in the world you borrow for consumption, you borrow for investment purposes. So your public sector development program is shrinking, while your interest payments are now 8.4 trillion rupees. And your net revenues consume all the interest payments. So defense, running of the government, subsidies, all other functions of the government, of the federal government, come to a complete halt unless you borrow that. And that's not a very right kind of a strategy. So we have to fiscal consolidation by containing our wasteful expenditures, which means we don't have to give across the board subsidies. We have to get rid of the loss-making enterprises. And because energy is such a problem, we have to open up our energy sector for competition. Right now, you have multiple sellers, but one single buyer, which is the government. At the retail level, you open it up to the private sector. Fourth point after energy, your skill sets of the labor force, especially the youthful, are completely misaligned with the demand in the economy as well as the demand outside Pakistan. I give this example of Japan. Japan has been a very ethnically pure country. They never allowed the foreigners to come in. But because the fertility rate is declining and the older or senior citizens are growing in numbers, for them it is necessary. So they need 30,000 IT graduates from Pakistan. We should try to position ourselves that in next 7 years or 6 years, we are able to meet their requirements. And so is Korea, and so is other. Saudi Arabia is expanding their non-oil economy. We can get into that economy. These are the major, in my view, interventions which we need in the short term. We have gone to deindustrialization, and we have also neglected agriculture. These are the productive sectors of the economy. You are importing oil seeds. Why can't we have the canola or even the palm or olives or others? And if we have to provide subsidies in the initial period, we will be saving some foreign exchange, right? Similarly, if we are using imports of pulses, and we used to produce pulses, and nobody now cares where the pulses are right now. The milk powder, you name it, these are all commodities which can be produced domestically, and therefore $10 billion. I mean, cotton, for example, we used to produce 14 million bales of cotton. Now we are down to 7 or 8 million. We have to import cotton also. This is the most highly irrigated, fertile agricultural land. Give it to Japanese and they will produce miracles on this land, which is contiguous. The Indus Basin lands are contiguous. That is something we should actually make full advantage of. We should go for high value-added crops. We should go for horticulture, fruits and vegetables, and for meat and poultry and all that, so that we can earn higher value of exports and import substitution. I mean, dairy milk right now is only 6 or 7% in the organized. Why can't we extend this over like Turkey has done? If the banks are so much comfortable that they take their deposits along with the OMO raised money to finance the government deficit, which is consuming zero capital under the capital adequacy ratio, and it is a sovereign risk. So if that is the situation, the interest rate will be all over the place. But if you give it to the private sector, and the private sector increases the production of goods and services in the economy, then your interest rates will be lowered because you have the demand for capital, but you also have the supply. You have an integrated banking operation. You take the money from the depositors and you lend it to the borrowers who need it. And the borrowers are in these underserved sectors where most of the economic activity takes place. Now you have to change your mindset and your skill set, because you cannot treat the agriculture and SMEs in the same way as the corporates. They don't have the balance sheets. They don't have audited financial statements. They are doing things which are totally on a different platform. You have to go for cash flow lending. You have to go for program lending.